Recording. Okay. So we're recording. Okay, cool. So now back to our thing. So we have a form ID. We have a first name. We have a last name. And let me do this. Okay, so we've got 2 inputs so far, right? Was there anything else we needed to do? Badge number, right? So I'll do badge number. Badge number, and then I'll do an input type. Right? Oh no, not plus, equals. Now, what's the badge ID going to be? Is it going to be text? It's going to be a number. So I'll choose a number in the top. So it's going to give us a number instead of text. An ID equals, and what I'm going to give this one, I'm going to say badge ID. I'm going to call it badge ID. Now, you might notice I've got these lowercase and uppercase things, you know, in kind of weird order a little bit. They call this camel case. When you have a word, like see how I did lowercase for cred and then capital for S? They call that camel case, where you're, like if I wanted to say I like pie, I would do it like this. I would do I like pie. Okay? That's camel case, where the first word is lowercase and everything else, the first word is the uppercase. That's the way we write variables in programming. That's one way. Another way to do it is what they call snake case. For snake case, you do it like this. Okay? So snake case looks like this. What do you think screaming snake case looks like? All caps. You do I, and then underscore like underscore pie. And that's screaming snake case. So now I tend to use camel case a lot just because it makes me comfortable. But I mean, whatever you want to call your variables, I'm okay with that. Except for swear words. Don't use swear words. But anything else, I'm good with. Yeah, we don't want to do that. All right. So what I'm going to do, the other thing when you're writing code, you should always check it. You should test it often. Test early, test often. So I'm going to test this. I'm going to run it and see what it looks like. I should have stopped at first name to make sure it would work, but I didn't. But I should have. If I was smart, I would have. And if we look at our thing, I'm going to put this up on the screen for you guys. There it is. First name, last name, badge number, right? If I put it in, it'll give that, and then I can put in a number for my badge number. What if I try a letter? What's it going to do? It won't let me put it in. Okay, so I can only put in a number. Okay. Yep. We got to create the submit. I was just testing it to make sure I'm on the right path. So we're good so far. So let's keep going and make this small. Okay. So now for our alert button, what we need to do is we need to, after this last one, so you need to have a new line. So BR for break. And then what I need to do is I need to put what's called an input type. Input type. An input type is where a user has to do something, okay? Input type. Now, what do you think would be the thing to create a submit button? What would be the input type we'd use? Submit, okay? So input type submit. Okay, and then we do on click And then remember on click, not plus, for on click, that's what happens when we click it, okay? Now, when we click it, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a function that will do all the things we wanted to do. We wanted to write the stuff to variables, we want to check variables, stuff like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a function. I'm going to call that function checkCreds. Okay? And then because it's a function, you need to have the thing after it, and then you need a semicolon to say we're done. And then after this, we need to go the slash and the close. Okay? So what it's going to do, it's going to create a button, a submit button. It's going to unclick check creds, and that'll check the credentials. So let's see what it looks like now to make sure we're still in the right path. All right, so we have a submit button. Now when we click it, it doesn't do anything, right? Because we don't have anything. We don't have anything wired up to it.
My submit button didn't work even though I put in what you said.
Here,
I don't know if I'm missing something or... Oh, I think I see it here.
Okay, cool.
There we go. Yeah, that works.
Excellent. Okay. So now we've got our submit button. We've got all our initial stuff. Now we need to set up what we want it to do, right? So I'm going to create a function, right? What did I call my function? Oh, wait. Well, what do I have to do before this?
Script.
I have to do script, right? And then inside the script, I need to create a function. And what am I going to call this function? checkCreds. checkCreds, and we're not going to pass anything in the function, so I'll do that blank. And then we've got a place to put our function. Okay? Now what I want to do, I want to check it to make sure it works. So I'm going to do an alert. And in the alert, I'm going to say it works. It's part of this test early, test often. Okay, I want to make sure, whenever I take a step, I want to make sure that step works. Okay? So let me test it and see if this works now. Okay, when I click submit, it works. So we're good so far, right? Excellent. So let's go to the next one. So now we need it to do something in there, okay? Well, first thing we're going to need it to do, I'm going to give you some space here. First thing we need it to do is we collected this data, right? We collected a first name, a last name, and a badge. But we need a place to store that data, right? So where do we store data? Variables, right? So I'm going to make our first variable. So var. And I'm going to call it, it's got to be different than fname because fname is already assigned. So I'm going to call it first name in camel case. Okay? So var first name. And then this is where it gets tricky. What I wanted to do is I wanted to assign what was inside that box to first name. So what I do is I say document dot, and I do get element by. So get element by ID. Okay. And then I do these guys. And then what element do I want? Fname. And then what that will do, let me make sure, and then what I need after this is what I want in that F name is I want the value. And then go ahead and close it out. So what it's going to do is it's going to create a variable called first name, and then it's going to go to my document. It's going to get this element by ID first name, and it's going to put the value of F name into first name. Okay? You don't have to do value. You can actually do length, and it will put how many characters that is long. You could put just the third character in there, and there's a way to do that. There's a way to do all sorts of stuff. I'm going to put the whole value, so I put a value. Okay? Good deal. So we do that with first name. What else do you think we do next? Last name. Last name and badge number, badge ID. So let's go ahead and do those guys next. You can cut and paste and change it if you want to. I'm going to type it in because I want to be slow so you guys can keep up. I don't want to skip ahead of anyone. So that's why I'm typing it. But a better way to do it is to do a cut and paste and then change it to fit your what you need. Document dot, and then I'm going to do a get element by ID. So I'll click on that, and then I want this guy and this guy, and I'll do last name. Okay, and then I want the value. And I'll go ahead and end it. Okay, and last thing I need is badge. Var, I'm going to create a variable. I'm going to call it badge. I already used badge ID up above, so I'm going to call it badge num. Num with a B, num, badge num. And then equals, and then just like before, document. Dot get element by ID, and then we want one of these, and then we'll do badge ID. Okay, and then after that, I want the value, not value. Okay. So what it does now is it tells me, or it grabs my first name and puts it in first name, it grabs my last name, puts it in last name, and it grabs my badge ID and puts it in badge num. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to test it. So first I'll do the first one. I should have done the first one and tested it. If I was smart, I would have done that. But let's see first name. Okay, so what it'll do, it'll put my first name in, my last name in, and my badge num. And then it's going to tell us what my first name is in an alert. Okay, so let's go ahead and run it and make sure it works. Okay, so first name, it's got mine, it's got my son's, it's got my dad's, it's got my mother-in-law, and as my wife. I'll use my son. Ethan Prater, badge ID, we'll go 56. Submit. Ethan, so it did do the first name. So we're all set. Let's check the other ones to make sure the other ones work. I'm going to do first name plus last name plus badge. If I start typing it, you'll see it has some finishing for me, so I don't have to type it all in. So what it's going to do, it's going to have a first name, a last name, and a badge number. So let's check it. Open with live server. I'm going to use my dad. Then I'll give him number 2. Marvin Prater 2. So far we're on the right path, right? We've got everything going in, we've got it there. So what I want to do next is we have to perform checks, right? We have to check our data. What it wants, let me bring up the, oh no. Is it, oh here, this one. Okay, I just want to bring up the assignment. The assignment says we need to check the first name and last name cannot be more than 20 characters, okay? So we can only have 20 characters in the first name and last name. And if it doesn't, we're not allowed to progress. We're not allowed to keep going.
Is it 20 characters total or?
Yep, yeah, it's like, it's a total for the first name and last name. So what I'm gonna do is, first thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna create a new variable. Okay? Let me get that to the next line. I'm going to create a new variable, and I'm going to call it full name. Because I want it to be the first name and the last name together. Okay? So variable full name, and I'll say that equals first name plus last name. Okay? So variable full name equals first name plus last name. And down here, I'm going to change this to full name. So it's going to tell the same thing, but instead of me separating, it's going to be full name is the first name and the last name. And it's going to say this variable full name down there. So let's test it, make sure we're still doing good. So I'll use my wife. I'll put her number 1. And there it is, Leanne Prater 1. Very good. So now we need to check it, okay? We need to see if it's okay. If it's less than, or if it's greater than 20 characters, we can't progress. If it's less than 20 characters, we're okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a loop. And if the characters are greater than 20, I'm going to get us tracked in that loop so it can't continue on, okay? Now, there's certain types of loops. The one loop we used before was the for loop. Remember, we did for, and then we identified a counter, and then we set a requirement for the counter, and then we added the counter, subtracted the counter each round. We don't want to use a counter for this, right? We don't want to use a for counter for this. Instead, we want to use what's called a while loop. Okay? And what a while loop does is while some conditions are met, it's going to stay inside that loop. And I'm going to just get stuff cleaned up and ready to go. Now, what I want to do is I want to trap it. If it's greater than 20 characters, I want to trap it. Okay? I want to get it stuck in this loop. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do full name. And I don't care what full name is. I care about how many characters it has. So I can do a dot length. And then if it's greater than 20, then I want to do an alert. And then a there and a there. Too many characters. Okay? Too many characters. And if it works, I want to say entry submitted. Okay? Oh, and I want to put the things after it. I'm sorry. Let me do it right. So what it'll do is if the full name length is greater than 20, it's going to tell me too many characters and it's going to stop. If the full name length is less than 20, it's going to skip this. It's going to go to alert entry submit. So let's go ahead and try it. So first I'll do a whole bunch of M's. And I'll do a whole bunch of M's here. And for the badge number, it doesn't matter. If I submit it, too many characters. It's stuck. It won't let me continue. Okay? Which is okay. We don't want you to be able to submit too many characters. So we can kill it. So that takes care of the full name length, right? That's the first thing we need to worry about. Let me grab that mission control. The other thing we need to worry about is check if the string is 20 characters and it uses a badge number, and we want to check the badge number is valid in 3 digits. More than 3 digits, we don't want it to work. And if it's valid, if it's negative something, we don't want that to work either, right? Like you can't have a -5 badge number. It's got to be a whole number, probably greater than 1, right? I don't think they have a 0 badge, although you could argue and say you could have a 0 badge, and I'm okay. I'm not going to do it wrong. So it's got to be 3 digits, and it has to be greater than 0 or greater than or equal to 0. I don't care. So how are we going to do that? Well, let's do the greater than or equal to 0 first, okay? So we do another. Oh, not there. I did it too long. I want to do another while loop. While and then we got some stuff we need to put in, and then we're gonna do stuff down here. So first of all, I'm going to do an alert, and then this, and then this, and I'm going to do invalid badge number. Okay? So we've got an invalid badge number. If it does it, we're going to have an invalid badge number. And then I'll put my semicolon down there. Okay. Now, let's do the easy one first. If it's less than 0, we want to throw it out, right? So let's do that. If badge num is less than 0, then we want to throw it out. So let's stop. Let's do that one first. Okay, so let's test it. Okay, so first name doesn't matter. Badge number, I'm going to do a -776. If I do that, invalid badge number. Okay, so we got this, this isn't working, so we kill it. Okay, so we want invalid badge number. Should be a number with 3 or less digits. Invalid, so greater than or 0, greater than or equals 0. And we want it to have 3 or less digits. How would we do that? Yeah, you could do that. If we look at length, right? So if we did, well, first of all, how do I say this or that? How do I do that? If I have 2, I want to have 2 statements, right? I want to have If it's less than 0, I want it to be wrong. Or if it's something else. So how do I put it in OR? Does anyone remember?
You're
Yep.
looking for an or, you're looking for and, less than 0 and not more than 3 digits.
Well, I don't, because if it's greater than 3 digits, regardless of what number it is, if it's greater than 3 digits, I want to throw it out.
Okay.
So, yeah, I had to think about it too, but yeah. So we have that, so we have an OR, so double pipe, right? The pipe is the shift backslash, it's above the enter key, okay? So that, or we'll do badge length. So badge num dot length, and we'll say greater than 3. So does that work? You didn't yell at me, so that's good, right? So are you guys okay with that? Let's go ahead and try it. Okay. So I'm going to use my son. I'm going to say invalid badge number. That's going to lock me out. Okay. So let's do it again. And let's have everything work with it. We'll do 0. Entry submitted. So that's it. If you got it, you got it. You guys have any questions?
Can you go back to the code?
Yep, absolutely.
Can you go all the way down?
Oh yeah, yeah, we can do that. Absolutely. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and stop or turn off the recording.
For the assignment, do you just want this code in there, or do you want it like as a?
I wanted to
before to get into the.
I wanted to fit your